don't travel much, but when you do, you have to buy like a toothbrush holder. Then you forgot you have one, so you go out and buy a toothbrush holder. And then on the next trip, you try to, I need a toothbrush holder. You forgot you had one, but then you buy another one. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. It has happened. DJ LeMahieu has hit a home run. Big news for the Yankees, so we'll relive that moment for you, but unfortunately it's just one home run. Team continues to slump after the All-Star break, so we'll kind of dissect this team. This obviously it's more the same of no offense. It's even bad where you got former Yankee Jose Canseco weighing in on that. But the Yankees might have some solutions, so we'll give you some injury updates on both Jason Dominguez as well as Giancarlo Stanton. And of course, I'm sure you've heard some of the bobs going back and forth between Luis Severino, former Yankee, and his old team there. So we'll kind of weigh in on that whole deal there. So before we get started, though, I know it's been maybe a while since the last episode, but make sure, I got to remind you again, there's an audio podcast version of the show. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, subscribe there, and you should be doing it here as well on YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, get it all. So, it was a Monday afternoon in the Bronx. It was kind of warmish, and of course, it was the final game against the Tampa Bay Rays. It was a game they finally able to salvage the series there, which is just unbelievable. You had these two matchups against the Rays. You lose 2 out of 3 in Tampa. Again, this is a team that was around 500, a little below 500. They come up to the Bronx, maybe figure out you can feast on them, get back a little bit, and you just get a split at home there. So, imagine how this team is still stuck in that kind of mud, as we, so to speak, since late June. Really hasn't stopped that much. You figure maybe with the All-Star break, maybe a couple guys will rest up a little bit and then come back, fresh like that. But unfortunately, it has not been that way out of the gate. And for a number of reasons, which we'll get into shortly. But of course, I've been beating up a lot on has been DJ LeMahieu since his return, at least the start of his season here. And again, he's been diminished over the past couple of years now, so this is nothing new. But he's been gone this whole time without a home run. Well, finally, it was that moment. He did get a home run. It was that Monday game. So mark that. You look at all the great home runs in Yankee history. It's going to be Monday, July 22nd, 2024, a date that will live in infamy for the Yankees and Yankee fans. DJ LeMahieu finally hit a home run. Whoop-de-doo. Unfortunately, that's where we are right now, at least speaking right now. He just still has the one home run. And if you look at his numbers, again, it still remains to be putrid. And it's, again, the reason why this team has been struggling really for about a month and a half now. I mean, he's up to a sterling 181 with the one home run, 23 hits, just 12 RBIs, again, and this is in 40 games there. So enough sampling size to see where, look, is this not going to happen this season? Again, he's weighing the team down. It's basically an automatic out. He can play defense. He's versatile. We know that. He can play third. He can play first. He can still play second in a pinch there. But again, at this point right now, he's pretty much an automatic out, and you can understand why it is now. It's just focus on, great, Soto and Judge. It's all good. We love it. So, it's one of the great combinations in Yankee history, but you need the other guys to do stuff, and you can't have automatic outs, and he's just being one of those automatic outs, unfortunately, for the Yankees. Now, look, we saw what happened. Someone's going to have, I guess, the Biden conversation with him. I don't know if that's possible, but they're going to have to do something to remove him from the team, similar to what they did with Aaron Hicks, similar to what they did with Josh Donaldson. Now, the problem is that, again, DJ still has about 2 years left on his deal. You're paying him $15 million there, so I don't know how the Yankees get at this problem. And, of course, for them, is this, hey, well, just let DJ be better. Well, it's just not happening right now, unfortunately. So I don't know how you cure that, because this is not just a one-time thing. This has been a slide for him since the 2021 season. And every year, we feel, all right, he's healthy. He'll get back into the swing of things, and it just hasn't happened there. So, again, Brian Cashman and the Yankees and DJ, there's all going to have 3 of them going to have to come together and make some sort of tough decision there, because, again, it's just not getting any better. Happy he's got the one home run, great. But, again, you still need him to have a little bit more thump in the lineup. He's got to be contributing a lot more. And again, he's not even hitting 200. He's been hitting below 200 there. He had like a little streak where a couple of weeks where he actually got over the 200, just barely an inch there. But then, of course, that dropped off. And still, if we get to the point now where you feel like a 200 batting average is the expectations there, you just can't. That's not Major League Baseball. That's not hitting Major League Baseball pitching there. So I don't know what you can do with that. Now, the only problem with the Yankees is that no one's really taking the bull by the horn. It would be nice. And then, if someone like Oswaldo Cabrera could just like all of a sudden just go on a tear and take the job and take the batting spot away from DJ LeMahieu, that'd be great. But unfortunately, he's been all right in situations. But again, he really hasn't taken the bull by the horns. And, the Oswaldo Cabrera we saw, that opening series, remember down in Houston, even though it seems like 100 years ago, it seemed like he took a shine to Juan Soto. He was kind of grinding out bats the way Juan Soto does, and like that, and emulating that. And it wasn't like rocking the ball over the place, but he was getting hits. He was getting hits with men in scoring position. He looked like a completely different player, and that as well, the Cabrera unfortunately has kind of waned away a little bit. Now some of it's Boone's fault as well, because he'll have a game where he'll get a couple of hits, and then Boone he doesn't have him in the lineup the next day, so he doesn't get consistent play there. But to his fault as well, he really hasn't taken the bull by the horns and taken the third base job away from the Yankees there. So it's just gonna be mystery to see how the Yankees are gonna approach this. And just want to go back to last season with Josh Donaldson. It was almost in a similar situation. And an aging player, you're paying him significant money. All right, he can still play the field, but he's not contributing at the plate the way you need him. Well, let's just stack him up right now. So as I mentioned before, DJ LeMahieu at this point has 40 games under his belt. Well, let's go back to last season. Let's hit the rewind button there. Josh Donaldson in 33 games. He was hitting 142. All right, so you would take the 142 versus DJ 181. They're both disgraceful in any case. Right? The Donaldson one's a little bit more disgraceful, but 181's nothing to be proud of either. But at least he had 10 home runs. At least he hit the ball out of the park a few times there, compared to DJ's 1 home run and just 15 RBIs. And again, DJ right now at 12 RBIs. So Donaldson, all right, he was hitting lower than DJ, but at least he had more home runs. And he at least had a couple of RBIs and in less games. He only had 33 games versus DJ's 40, and that's when the Yankees made the decision to basically DFA him. So DJ and Donaldson are basically in the same boat where they were, and they had no problem getting rid of Donaldson. So hey, why not you do a DJ? But of course, we know the situation with that is because he still has a couple years left in the contract, and you just can't pay someone the $30 million to sit at home there. Now, let's say if they do waive him, come like that, cut him, whatever like that. Will some other team give him a shot somewhere else? Probably. It's baseball. Again, even when Yankees unloaded Donaldson, the Brewers gave him another shot, so I don't think it'll be the end of his baseball career, but I just can't see how they keep continuing with him when at the same time you also have other positions, someone like a Gleyber Torres who, all right, he'll bop one once in a while, but he's consistent, not giving you what you need there. Volpe, he's been all right, but you see, again, these guys, you got to get you can't all be slumping at the same time, and that's the problem with the team right now, and that's why the offense has been stale as it has been. As we all know, there's not been much joy in the Mudville section of the Bronx, and of course with the Yankees. Still in that slump, as I mentioned before, really hasn't really stopped since maybe late June. But even want to go back further than that, since June 14th, at least to this point, the Yankees have only won 10 games. So you go about a month and a half, they only won 10 games. The only team that's been worse than that is the worst team in baseball. That's, of course, the Chicago White Sox with only 9 games. So now the Yankees, lucky they got out to that great jump to the start of the season. That there was on the point where they're about 30 games over 500, but they've certainly come back to earth. And and after the All-Star break, going 2-3 as I mentioned before, they split the series at home against Tampa, dropped the first game against the Mets. So again, the first 5 games they're 2-3 there. So kind of just really in that same pattern they were just before the All-Star break. And when you figure maybe that last weekend in Camden Yards there, they went 2 out of 3 against the Orioles, the first place team. Shoulda, woulda, coulda won that last game where you got a sweep there, and then you kind of feel all right. We ended on a good high note there. You got the All-Star break. We're going to come back fresh and ready to go. But again, since really the second half of the season started, hasn't been too much to be happy about. I guess only maybe the bright spot is that you finally got a strong start from Carlos Rodon. So it's just good to see him do that. Go deep into a game against the Rays, against 7 innings, only gave up the 1 run there. And of course, Luis Gil, again, he's been gotten some bad luck with getting offensive help. But it looks like Luis Gil's kind of reverted his ways there. Again, remember he had 3 or 4 starts in a row where he just absolutely got bombed. Again, maybe he was tipping his pitches, maybe just a little fatigue. We don't know like that, but at least he seemed to stabilize himself there. So maybe you want to take those small victories. But overall, and again, kind of the point at the top of the show what I mentioned with DJ there, it's been this Yankee offense and this overall, this bench, this roster, what they have there. So you kind of have to put that on Cashman a little bit. But again, I don't know if you saw the tweet by Jose Canseco. Now, this was the Yankee lineup in the first game of the Subway Series. Again, the part starting off in the Bronx there. And again, I'll just read this lineup because, again, maybe just, it kind of breezes by you a little bit. You maybe didn't watching every game, watching everything. But if you look at this lineup, it's hard to believe that it's a major league professional lineup of the great, New York Yankees with the 27 championships and Mickey Mantle and Ruth and all the history and stuff. But this was your Yankee lineup for this night, for that particular night there. So you had leading off Jahmai Jones. Okay, who's that? Juan Soto, Judge. Now, again, we know the Judge Soto show is great. We love them. You see the shirts, Juan Soto and Judge for 2024. Again, I think a lot of Yankee fans will vote for that. But then after that, it's all downhill. J.D. Davis, who at that point was out for 20 games with a stomach flu. So it was his first game back. So I know I mentioned him as maybe a better option over DJ LeMahieu, but again, it's his first game back. He's been gone for 20 days. I mean, it's hard to expect much there, but they're going to put him right in the cleanup spot there, man. Of all people, maybe you could have put Gleyber Torres there. Not that he's exactly Joe DiMaggio himself, but this guy's just come back and you're putting him in the cleanup spot to protect Judge. I don't know about that one. So, and then after that, Volpe, who I mentioned before, again, he's having an okay season. I think it's a good second season for him, but, he's been not hitting the ball really well lately. He's been slumping again. He lost the leadoff hitting job to Ben Rice. And after that, Gleyber Torres, again, he did have a home run in the game, whoop-de-doo, but again, he'll hit that, and then you won't hear from him for another 3 weeks. Verdugo, who's been sliding a little bit, unfortunately, again, and also a couple of miscues in the field there, especially that one in Camden Yards where a ball went over his head. Now, again, he's been a really solid defensively for the Yankees, so I'm not going to get on him, but again, he's been slumping as well. And of course, we know with Trevino out, they have Narvaez there, the catcher, and he's only in there because he's a righty, otherwise they'd want to have Wells in there. And again, this is against Quintana, the lefty of the Mets, so this is supposed to be a right-handed heavy lineup to combat that. Otherwise, you probably would have saw Austin Wells behind the plate. And last but not least, our hero, DJ LeMahieu, batting in the ninth hole. Again, just compare where he was 5 years ago. You would never think he'd be batting ninth for the New York Yankees. But look at that lineup up and down I just mentioned there. I mean, does that look like a professional quad? I mean, again, take Judge and Soto, stand out for a second there. The rest of those guys are just all automatic outs. I mean, you can't believe that's actually a major league lineup. Where, of course, I'm sure you saw the tweet, or now they call it the X, where they put out there by Jose Canseco. Let's see what his exact words were. One of the worst lineups I've ever seen, and that will be dated July 23rd. So July 22nd, you had the great moment of the DJ LeMahieu home run, and then you had one of the great quotes of all time by Jose Canseco. That's one of the worst lineups of all time. And again, the guy's not exactly wrong. Now, we all know about Jose Canseco, kind of a little bit sleazy. I think he actually might have sold his, when the Yankees had him, he actually won the championship ring in 2000 there, if you could believe that there. I think he might have sold it for a car or something, or some cash there. So, not exactly the utmost guy, and of course he's been spouting around again. He's the one who kind of broke the story about all the PED use and stuff like that, so a lot of players don't like him. But again, he's not exactly wrong there, and you just look at that line and he's like, oh my God, you can't even believe this. And even I was listening to the fan, maybe a couple weeks ago, and one of the hosts there made a good point. If you want to go back to the Yankees, those late 90s championship teams there, I know you can't expect all that, but just look at the bench they used to have. I mean, you had a bench, you have guys like Tim Raines sitting there, Chad Curtis, Dallas Strawberry, Chili Davis. I mean, sometimes the Yankees bench was actually better than most team starters there. That's what made that team valuable, where if someone went down, there's no bills. There's next man up. You could, just take their place there. For example, Strawberry was doing great for the Yankees in '98. Then, of course, he had he had initial stomach I think there's stomach virus cancer or something like that there, so he had to sit out the rest of the season, but it was no problem. Chad Curtis, Tim Raines, you put them right in there, you didn't skip a beat there. If you look at this Yankee team, look at this bench right now, I mean, again, who do you got? You bring Trent Grisham off the bench? Wow. Or you get like a Jahmai Jones coming off the bench? Wow. I mean, they don't even have a bench there, and these aren't exactly like marquee players on the bench that could come off there, so could be a problem, and maybe that's just the way baseball is anymore now. They just want to do everything in-house and have young guys and not paying them much, where instead of having a veteran there where you have to pay a little bit more, but at least you got a veteran there on the bench. Seems like the Yankees don't have that. It's a little weak on the bench there. So, again, you have to put that on Brian Cashman, because at the end of the day, this is his team. This is the line he's constructing there. But again, it's kind of weak. And if you just look, other than Judge and Soto, the rest of the lineup, not really threatening there. So, if those guys don't contribute there, someone has to pick up the slack, but no one else is picking up the slack there. So now the Yankees are getting some good news, and I'll get into that afterwards. Again, updates with both Stanton and Dominguez, and that should help. Just kind of stretch out that lineup a little bit, so it's not just two guys doing all the damage there. But of course, these guys need to pick up in Cashman. Again, he's gonna have to make a number of moves. Not only with the bullpen, but with this roster overall, because again, it's very thin. Now, I think this is a bit of a panic mood, but of course now, out of nowhere, the Yankees have announced that Jason Dominguez has now resumed his rehab, and they're looking for him to join the team as soon as possible. Now, to me, I think this is pull the fire alarm, panic button, as I said before. This is because where the Yankee offense is. To bring him up here, this gives this team a shot in the arm. Again, we saw what he did last season, and just a handful of number of games. They're hitting 4 home runs, providing some excitement, and that's kind of what this Yankee lineup needs right now. Now, the whole thing is kind of weird because, we remember he had the check swing. Then we find out, well, he hurt his oblique a little bit, but he'll only be on the 7-day IL, no big deal. And then a couple days after that, and actually it's a little bit more serious. He may not be back till August. And the way they said that he's doing absolutely nothing in terms of any sort of baseball activities, you figure, wait, you know what? There could be a case that maybe they'll have to shut him down for the rest of the year. And you can understand that he's he's kind of the golden child. He's the future of the organization. He's kind of the next Judge, so to speak. And that you don't want to maybe bring him back too early and have a more serious injury. So I even thought I floated the possibility out there that maybe they'll just shut him down for the rest of 2024. But then out of nowhere, which is why I think it's a bit of a panic move, the Yankees announced that they are looking to ramp him up and get it back as soon as possible. Again, it was kind of out of nowhere because we were hearing previously about Jason Dominguez is that he was really not doing any sort of baseball activities. They had him completely shut down. Now out of nowhere, they're looking to bring him up as soon as possible. So yes, this definitely reeks of a panic move that, hey, we could bring this guy in versus have to make some sort of big trade. So that is that. So now he took some batting practice on, that's Monday, the July 22nd. Now the plan for him was going to, a week after that, join the AAA club there. And as Boone put it, there's no really set amount of games, a set amount of at-bats they want to see for him. It's just quote-unquote when he feels he's ready. So obviously they want to give him enough there. So I would assume at least a week, at least a week of, just to kind of get his endurance back, getting his timing back, seeing live hitting, opposing hitting. So, it was a little different than taking BP or even a simulated game there. And again, once they feel that he's quote-unquote ready, then they'll look to bring him up. And again, and this came out of nowhere. So now, is it a bit of a risk? Yes, because you possibly have someone who could be the future of your organization, and if you push him back sooner than his body's ready there, you could maybe have a more damaging injury there. But I think it's all worth it. I mean, you have to be all in for 2024. You got Soto here right now. You don't know if you're going to have him in the future. You have Judge right now on top of his game. You have Cole. You're paying a lot of money to people like Cole and Rendon and so forth. You got to be all in to win now. So is it a risk? Yes. But is it a risk worth taking? I'll also say yes, because even though he might be the future of the organization, again, the next Judge, the next one for the Yankees there, whatever you got to do for this, help this team win this season, you got to do it. So again, as long as you're not, taking a big risk there, then yes, I would say push forward with them if that's the case. Again, the Yankees doctors and stuff like that, they know more than I do. So, but it's just kind of weird how it came out of nowhere. Now, what does that mean for the Yankees right up here right now? Well, obviously, in center field there, that's what Jason Dominguez would play. Now, that's Judge's spot there, so I think Judge's job is safe there. But I think right now you look at left field, and I mentioned before Verdugo, who has been slumping lately. That would be a situation where it looks like Verdugo obviously might lose some at-bats there. And, of course, the DH spot, which, right now the Yankees are kind of shifting that around a little bit, of course, until Stanton gets back there. But once Stanton comes back there, again, because who Stanton is and the money he makes there, I don't think Jason Dominguez will take too many bats away from Stanton there. So it looks like of all the people, Verdugo will probably lose some playing time there. And, again, if that's the case, he has no one to blame but himself. Again, I like the addition. They brought him in this season. I like him overall. Again, his defense is very good. Made some really good big plays and some big moments there. But again, he has also been slumping a little bit at the plate as well. Some at times dropping down to almost 250, stuff like that. So if that's the case there, you can't hold back Jason Dominguez. So if Dominguez does come up here, look like Verdugo will be probably the odd man out. And the other half of the equation of sort of the cavalry is coming is not only Jason Dominguez, but as mentioned before, Giancarlo Stanton. Now with Stanton, I'm probably you saw the footage already of him, on the base pads running around a little bit. Didn't snap any hamstrings or Achilles, so that's good news there. As well as taking a little bit of BP. Now it's kind of up in the air what they're going to do with him, but you're going to have to assume again he's been gone for almost 2 months now. He's going to have to at least play maybe like 3 games in the minors there. Just again, same reason, just get his timing back, kind of get his endurance up like that. I was thinking you could throw him in there. Of course, he might be a better option than anyone else the Yankees have right now, but nevertheless, you got to get him a little seasoning there. So the plan for him, I guess they want on like either July 27th or 28th to make that decision what it will be. But again, I would probably assume at least maybe 1 or 2 games at AAA, and then they'll rush him back up here as soon as possible. Again, and Sanders having a good season up to the point, at least for before the All-Star break, before the injury happened to him, he was second in voting for the DH spot there, so he was having a kind of All-Star kind of year for the Yankees. Good bounce back from 2023, which was horrible for him compared to other people like DJ who has not bounced back there. So again, I think this is good news for the Yankees overall. It it lengthens out the lineup right now, which where, again, you look up and down, you just see Soto, Judge, great, and then the rest is like that. So you put him in there, and of course you put someone like Jason Dominguez in there, maybe if he's up here in a couple of weeks there. And now you got like 4 or 5 guys, and maybe now, all the attention isn't only on Soto and Judge, and now the pitchers have to worry about other players there. And then, of course, that just helps everyone else. Maybe someone gets lazy on Gleyber Torres and leaves one hanging down the middle, or leaves one down the middle for someone like Anthony Volpe, because you're kind of using all your pitches and all your best pitches and all your BBs on those main guys. So it kind of helps everyone out there. So good news for the Yankees overall, they're coming back, but I think Cashman still has to do something else. He can't just be, we're getting guys back and that'll be our trade deadline move. No. They got to do something else again. They got to do something regarding DJ, and maybe even something regarding Gleyber Torres at second base. I don't know what you can do with any of those guys. Anyone would want to take them, but you got to make a number of moves other than just getting these guys back. But again, it's refreshing to see them come back, because again, when Stanton was in there, everything was rock and roll for the Yankees. But then he went down, and of course, you saw just obviously everything's gone to hell since there with this offense. So again, good news coming back, and again, it just should maybe be a week or two. And this Yankee lineup and really the roster overall has been, not only the butt of the jokes of someone like Jose Canseco, but of also, as mentioned at the top, former Yankee pitcher Luis Severino. Now, if you don't really know the backstory of this whole thing, this really had to go back to the first series this season. That was in June at Citi Field, where obviously Severino wasn't lined up to pitch any of those 2 games there, and supposedly it was Soto and some sort of like team group chat or a bunch of players kind of going back and forth with each other, kind of put it out there that Severino was kind of avoiding the Yankees. He was scared of the Yankees, and of course Severino laughed it off and kind of made the quote that, they only have 2 hitters over there, referring to both Soto and Judge there, and kind of taking a shot at his old team there. Now, I think this is some playfulness back and forth there. I wouldn't put too much into it. And of course, when they resumed the Subway Series in the Bronx, just by coincidence, I don't think it was planned there. Severino wasn't available to slot to pitch any of those 2 games as well. But I don't think Severino's scared and was avoiding the Yankees. In fact, especially at Yankee Stadium, I think he would love to come back. And, what team that kind of lets you go? Again, the Yankees didn't trade him or dump him. They didn't resign him. They gave him a million chances to come back, and he was hurt all the time. I think it was a good move by the Yankees. It was a smart move, just because you can't have a guy that's hurt all the time in there in the starting rotation. Again, when he's healthy and he's on, his stuff is probably up there the best in baseball. But with the Yankees hurt all the time, you can't just keep throwing him out there and have him take up one of those 5 starting spots there in the rotation. So again, I don't fault the Yankees for letting him walk, but again, if you are a player like that, you're going to feel a little spurned. You want to come back and throw a no-hitter against your old team, so why not? So I do not think Luis Severino, again, was kind of avoiding the Yankees there. And again, there was some playfulness back and forth, and even Soto said he was just joking around. He didn't mean that by Severino, and I think this didn't really mean nothing there. Again, it was just kind of a bunch of guys just kind of drawing back and forth, a little gamesmanship, so I wouldn't put too much stock in it. Now, if you're a Yankee fan, and again, we got the trade deadline coming up, you might think, hey, can we maybe get Luis Severino back? I don't think the starting rotation is really an area where the Yankees, definitely have to make a move, because you always again, as I say, you never have enough pitching, you never have enough starting pitching. But I just don't think it's an area the Yankees are going to explore. Of course, you have Cole taking a spot. You got Rendon. I know Rendon gives you some clunkers once in a while. Nestor Cortez has kind of a weird season. I think he's had some decent games where he just hasn't gotten run support. So you look at his win-loss record, I wouldn't put too much stock in it, but he has had a bizarre season. And again, early on, it was like he would have great games at home and be a disaster on the road, but now we seem to have some clunkers at home as well. So kind of weird there. You got, of course, Stroman, who you're paying money to, so you obviously, and he's there for not only this year but next year. And last but not least, Luis Heel there, who, again, you're paying him peanuts, and he's again giving you a pretty good first full year as a starter there. So again, there's really no room for Severino, though. So now let's just say the Yankees wanted to trade Heel for Severino, but you're not going to do that. There's no chance the Yankees would look at their former pitcher there. And if you want to see how he's doing for the Mets, it's not really that. He's pretty decent. He's having a good bounce back season. I'm happy for him. Again, he came up as a Yankee. You always want to see your guys thrive in pinstripes. But if they had them go somewhere else, you don't mind seeing them do well as long as it doesn't affect you somewhere down the road. And I don't see the Yankees and Mets locking up in this year's World Series. I don't think, maybe at this point, it doesn't look like either team will be in the World Series. So I don't think you'll worry about that. But Severino at this point, 19 starts so far, a 7-3 record, not bad there. And again, this is a Mets team. Now the Mets have bounced back a little bit. They got off to a horrible start. So his record probably, should be a little better than it is. But again, 7-3 with an ERA of 3.58. And again, overall, he's managed to stay healthy, which is something he hadn't been able to do with the Yankees. And again, would the Mets be willing to deal him? Maybe. Right now you look at them, they have to consider the NL East out, because the Phillies right now, again, probably one of the two or three teams in baseball right now. They're at 11.5 games above the Mets, so I don't think the Mets have a shot at the NL East. Now, could they get a shot at the wild card? Perhaps. So right now they're at 52-48. So again, they've gotten themselves over 500 after a terrible start. The only problem in the National League, you have 5 other teams that are not in first place. And have 50-plus wins. So the Mets right now competing about 5 other teams for 2 wild card spots. So I think the Mets will be in the wild card hunt. You kind of have to. And again, Cohen's put a lot into the team. They got JD Martinez and stuff like that. So they're probably most likely going to make some moves as well to make a wild card push. And if you're going to make a wild card push, you're not going to be looking to sell off assets like Luis Severino. So will there be a Severino Yankee reunion? Very doubtful. Well, I guess one of the bright spots of this Yankee, again, even though they've been struggling offensively, has been some good news on Juan Soto. Again, even he actually slipped under 300 with his batting average, and that's what he was kind of going through a rough period with some injuries because he was battling a sore forearm from like 2 months ago, and then more recently, dealing with a hand issue. That's when the series in Toronto when he slid it home there and banged up his hand. And he actually had to be taken out of the lineup the next day there. It kind of seemed like he's been playing through both injuries there, but he kind of mentioned that when he swings and misses, he really feels it in the hand there. But I think overall now, both injuries have kind of subsided a little bit because you've seen his bat heat up. I guess right now he's gone over 300 again, hitting around 308 at least at this point there. And he's been teeing off, hitting with power. You can look at that final game of the Rays series there, going 3 for 5, hitting a solo home run, a 3-run home run, and a double. So again, you've seen the power return to Juan Soto. So hopefully that's a little good news for the Yankees in the near future. And of course, if you can add some pieces like Jason Dominguez and Stanton, all the more better there. But it did look like that Soto for a couple weeks there wasn't himself there. Again, he wasn't really driving the ball, hitting with authority. And then again, things are going wrong with Juan Soto when his average dips under 300 there. So he was definitely hampered by those injuries. But at least good news now, his average has gone up over 300. So I'm going to assume that the hand and the form are feeling much better. Now, they were actually talking about Soto in terms of his long term because we all know he's a free agent after this. And he had an interview with The Athletic, and he said, look, he wants to go somewhere. He wants to win a couple of rings, but overall, he wants to be a place where he's going to be a situation where he has a chance to win every season. So kind of sounds like the Yankees. Again, they haven't won since 2009, but every time you start the season, there are the expectations of them to be one of those top teams. Just unfortunately for the Yankees in October, it hasn't worked out that way, but the Yankees are always in the running there. So another good sign then, of course. He said the Yankee fans are like no other and all that stuff, which you kind of expect him to say. But of course, we all know that once it comes to the offseason, it's all going to come up to the moolah. Now, I've kind of mentioned before about Aaron Boone. Obviously, I don't think his job's in jeopardy. You've heard some people conject that right now. But again, you see still some sloppiness overall with these players, some of the stuff they do on the field. Now, I know it's a different day and age from like 20 years ago. But of course, you had the slow home run trots from first series. And then, of course, Juan Soto kind of followed that, being slow around the bags. We saw that a couple weeks ago in the Boston series. First, Verdugo was slow around the bags. And then to get back at them, Rafael Devers was slow around the bags. And of course, we had that whole July 4th incident where during the national anthem where Potina, another Yankee, and a Reds player refused to get off the field. It's like, all right, who's more patriotic? It's stupid stuff on the field like that, which should not be happening. And man, this team is supposed to be focused on the championship. So I kind of have to put that on Aaron Boone there. I don't think it's something that it's going to cost him his job there. But players acting like that, if that's what's going on the field, is that what type of seriousness is going on behind the clubhouse in their dugout and all that stuff like that? Now, they all say they're locked in and all that stuff. I get that. But again, I don't remember that stuff with Girardi. Definitely don't remember that stuff with Joe Torre there. So I think this is more on him to get the players to cut out the nonsense there. So I think if you cut out the nonsense, I think the other aspects of the baseball game will improve for the entire team there. You can't just have all this stupid stuff there as well. You're doing that while your team is slumping. So kind of a bad look for Boone. Well, that's the episode. Again, mostly negative news for the Yankees, but again, take some positive out of it that no one else in the AL East, mainly the Baltimore Orioles, hasn't taken away the division, which is shocking, but they've been losing as well. And if you got to look around baseball, it's kind of a weird season. And again, no one's really running away with anything, so kind of keeping the Yankee conversation. And again, you got Soto hitting a little better, and of course, we got some good news. Maybe pieces like Jason Dominguez and Stanton will be joining the team shortly. That should definitely boost up the offense for the Yankees. And of course, Cashman is going to have to make a move or two as well, in addition to that. So again, things are bleak for the Yankees. I understand that, but they also have a lot of good players as well. So again, just get some pieces back there, and you hope they'll finally make a push through August and September, and maybe get themselves back at the top of the AL East.